Cooking has become a nice hobby for me. Barbecue to be a bit more specific. Spending the time working on meat for the smoker or the grill has really been good for me in more ways than one. People have certainly come up with a variety of different ways to go about making barbecue food, so at some point this got me thinking. What kind of variety is there in the world of video games when your game is centered around food? I have a few games that stand out to me, but before I get into those, there's one series that's really obvious, and I'm going to get into that one first. Cooking Mama. Cooking Mama has been around for a while. It started on the Nintendo DS back in 2006, and has since not only spawned a number of sequels in the same spirit of the first game, but numerous spin-offs like working in a garden, going camping, and even babysitting. This is Cooking Mama CookOff, one of the titles that released on the Nintendo Wii. There's over 300 ingredients to be potentially placed and over 50 recipes that span across 10 countries. Completing a dish means using the Wii Remote's motion controls through a gauntlet of minigames, with each minigame getting a score based on how well you did, with some savory commentary from Mama along the way.
Wonderful! Better than Mama!
The scores get tallied together and then you see how the final product shaped up. Unlock recipes, unlock things for your kitchen, compete against Mama's friends or your friends in real life who've been begging to play this with you in the game's versus mode. This next game is very simple, but it's pretty interesting to me for a few different reasons. This is one of the few times that Nintendo themselves created what you can call a multi-cart, something other than Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt / Track Meet. As you can see, it's two games. One of them's Eggsplode, and the other one is what I'm going into now, Short Order. Short Order puts you at the helm of a very eccentric and unusual eating establishment that specializes in odd and straight-up dumb hamburgers. One of your customers is a mouse.
That seems like a bit of a health hazard.
So the mouse orders and gets very specific about the way it gets assembled. This is a memorization game, many compare it to Simon. But just look at what they make me do! Some of these things get so absurdly tall, man! No one orders anything like this ever! Well, there was this one Japanese guy that got a Whopper from Burger King with 1,000 slices of cheese. But you know what? He called ahead. And he's just one guy, and not everyone walking into this restaurant! For anyone that isn't familiar with this game, here's a few more reasons why I'm intrigued by it. Because this is a food game that is controlled with the NES Power Pad. That was some forward thinking by Nintendo back in the day. Most people just prepare meals with the top half of their body. Let's make them prepare meals with their entire body. It was actually Bandai that created and developed every single game that used the Power Pad, except for this one. The next game is almost a natural progression of Short Order, or at least follows a familiar semblance of putting together meals. Cook, serve, delicious. The Sherry Soda Tower once had a restaurant that abided within it, but it was closed due to the economy. Now stuff with that junk is good again, and they want to reopen it and they get you to run it. Gameplay revolves around swift and accurate execution of people's orders. How you control your actions is actually quite customizable, equipped with compatibility for Sony and Microsoft controllers with custom buttons and key bindings, and they even got the Wii U Pro controller in there. Various ingredients are bound to certain keys or buttons, but you can change it on a dish-by-dish basis. Alongside the very fast and often stressful gameplay, you do other things to manage the restaurant that I found to be surprisingly deep in some ways, like swapping your menu items around for the various pros and cons attached to them. The game has a number of different modes on top of all this. Among some of these are weekly challenges, the ability to play the main campaign with a friend in co-op mode, or just having 4 players together in a local setting. I was quite inspired by a certain food game that I brought up just a little bit ago. It almost seems like a natural evolution. I'm talking about playing Cook Serve Delicious on a dance pad. Actually, 2 dance pads. Senran Kagura Bon Appetit. A strong point to the PlayStation Vita is that it's a traveling home to many solid rhythm games. You know, you'd think with games that are centered around food, you wouldn't really come across one that's rated M, but alas, here we are. The setup for this game is that these ninja girls are fighting against one another in a cooking competition. You choose a girl to play as, and the story unfolds for that character as you go through their campaign. It doesn't take itself seriously, and I'm not sure what more I could say about it without going into every character's story. The judges' overreactions were pretty great at times. I think my favorite part was watching a female Jotaro Kujo chop stuff up, and her favorite food is meat. I can dig it. There really isn't a shortage of Tycoon or management style of games out there, but this is the first game I've seen like this that lets you sabotage your competition. Pizza Tycoon, also known as Pizza Connection in other parts of the world, released in 1994 and booted up from DOS. It's a surprisingly ambitious business management game. Starting your shop from anywhere between Chicago and Sweden, you play as and hire from a vast array of characters that all have individual stats, while managing your restaurant's resources and sales. You can play on the lawful side of the fence or even the unlawful, at risk of being stopped by law enforcement. Things like missions for the mafia, dealing in ice cream, and maybe even stopping by the other pizza place in town and, giving them a free sample. Anyhow, when it comes to the pizza, there's surprising depth here. You make all of the pizzas yourself before they get added to the menu. The game shipped with a pizza cookbook to help get your place started. In fact, making some of those pizzas once you started your game doubled as the game's form of copy protection. If you didn't do that, no one would show up to your restaurant. That said, you aren't really bound to the cookbook other than that. You're able to make whatever you like and have it added to the menu, and I feel like it's encouraged to do so. It keeps track of how fatty the pizza is, how spicy, how many calories, and there's tons of ingredients with many different levels of quality. And ingredients can go in and out of style with the demographic around your shop. Again, for a Tycoon style of game, there's more going on with it than I first expected there to be. County Dispatch, this is Air 1, arriving at the drop zone now. Timestamp's gonna be 13:37.
Copy that, Air 1. Is the zone hot?
The baked pizza is indeed hot and in place. Oh, dang, there he is! You there! Freeze! Place the pizza back down and... Wait, what the... Oh man, it's just the Hamburglar. Poor guy can't seem to get his life straight after getting out of prison, resorting to taking stray pizzas.
Air 1, do you have a visual? What's your status?
My status is that I gotta call up Mama Gioni's and order another pizza.
Copy that. He'll come to justice soon enough.
I'm not trying to avoid the Noid, I'm trying to catch him! Man, and I never get good signal up here. The convenience of a cup of ramen noodles has been around for a long time. Not all noodles are made equal, however. The last game that stood out to me for this video is a Japanese exclusive for the Super Famicom that features a very powerful man that fought against the anti-instant noodle regime. This is UFO Kamen Yaki Soba, making quite the first impression, especially with those eyebrows. Wow. UFO Kamen Yaki Soba was a superhero cooked up by food company Nissan to promote their yakisoba bowls. For those wondering what yakisoba even is, yakisoba is a bunch of wheat noodles that are fried up with vegetables and then topped with a sauce, unlike ramen that would go with the broth. Kamen Yaki Soba had a number of commercials and a few different products attached to them like action figures, and a tent you could win in the mail. Even a movie for some reason. An entire movie. Among these products was this game, Ketara no Kuroi Inbo, which directly translates into Hitler's Black Conspiracy. Now I know that sounds weird, but black would probably be translated as dark in English. Taking Smash 4's Dark Pit as an example, he's labeled as Black Pit over in Japan.
Black Pit!
Kettler is our main villain. He hates instant noodles and is out to run the idea of them through the mud. In this game, he also kidnaps Yaki Soba's fiancée to marry her for himself. The game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with some of the same moves he pulls off in the commercials. Blasting bits of tempura, blasting beams of sauce, blasting flakes of seaweed that stop time for some reason? There's definitely a lot of blasting. There's items that aid you along the way. In addition to the items that refill your special moves, there's the same tent that you can win in the mail. another gun to let you dual wield for double the sauce beaming, and among these is a unicycle. A unicycle that makes you invincible and lets you run over enemies. A unicycle that you could win in the mail. An instant noodle unicycle. But it's all for the greater good to defeat the bad guys. Bad guys like these pink kettle heads. Fashion models with chopsticks for legs. And these guys that are doing whatever you think they're doing. And then there's this! There's part of a stage that takes place in a haunted house, and this is one of the things inside it. I have a really solid guess as to why it's here, but it doesn't actually answer why it's here. As part of the bad guy's plan to ruin the reputation of the food bowls, he dispatches a fake noodle man to spread misdeeds among the populace. But here it's just wrong! He's got that uso on him, which is Japanese for lie. That's not UFO, that says lie, you know? Anyway, we spread the truth by beating him up. Track down the Kettler at the TV station he took over, freeze time, punch him in the face, save our fiance, and they go on to live happily ever noodles. And with that, that's all the games that I put together for this video. I just want to point out that this is exactly the type of variety that I absolutely adore for this. A minigame compilation on the Wii, an NES game that uses the power pad, a PC game that's really fast-paced and uses a variety of different controls, including a dance pad if you wanted to, a rhythm game on the PlayStation Vita, a DOS game that's a Tycoon management style game where you're making your own recipes, and a Super Famicom game that's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, all centered around the same thing. It's exactly the type of thing that I enjoy putting together. And now it's about time I probably go make some food. I wonder where I put my sauce bean. To everyone that stopped by, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by liking it and subscribing. Links to different things are in the description, and the theme of the last video was oceans. And this is Officer Dan, reminding you to take it easy.